Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Wake Up and Live. This is Bob. Today I want to talk about a subject that's perhaps a little difficult or a little uncomfortable for a lot of people, and that is mental health and the relationship between mental health and a lot of crimes that we see that may be committed in Jamaica and elsewhere in the world. But I really want to talk about Jamaica's portion of that. And today it's very bright outside. Sun is about to go down, but it's still very bright. It's a mango season, and mangoes are falling off the thing. And so I'm wearing sunglasses today. I promise you, it's not because I want to look cute. It's simply that it's very bright in my backyard, and I prefer to give you the outdoor view while doing my videos. All right. I want to talk to you about a topic that we may have mixed views on, but I want to talk about it. I want to confront it. So the issue of crime is constantly on our minds, and some of us view the criminal activities as simply, from people who are just bad or full of the devil if you're religiously persuaded. Um, or we may think that, well, it's just these are adult criminals who in their youth didn't get proper instructions or direction from parents. They didn't get any whooping enough, or stuff like that. But sometimes that could be the issue, but a lot of times, and a lot more than we are actually aware of, it is because a lot more times it is because the person is perhaps struggling with mental illness but not aware of it, because we think a person who's mentally ill, a lot of people think a person who's mentally ill dresses up in dirty clothes and roam the street eating out of garbage pan. No, there are a lot of people around you. A mentally ill person can be very intelligent. Usually, is very intelligent, and most mental illness, by the way, I should say, goes by without people even realizing that people struggle with that. It's not until a big event occur and you realize, oh my God, something is wrong here. All right. So uh, children particularly are prone to getting those damages, and we want to talk about a little bit about uh, the issue starting from childhood. And to begin, I just want to say to you, if you see a child within your family, a child who's suddenly start catching, say, lizards, and start taking stones and bashing their heads, or a child who's chasing chickens in the yard and cutting off their heads and doing some of those things could be. I'm not, guys, I am not a therapist or any mental health professional. I'm just telling you from certain experiences. This could be an early indication that we have a child with issues that needs to be tended to, or else it could blossom into major problems. All right. So, what is it that causes some of these mental illness that leads to severe crimes we see, where people are viciously stabbed, or throat cuts and stuff like that, where people are found in the bushes, and we just assume that someone robbed somebody and throw their bodies there. Sometimes it's just mental illness. A lot of times, a lot more times than we actually know. It is mental illness that is now manifesting into what we call a criminal insanity. All right, and a lot of that comes from trauma that were not detected early in a person's life. All right, so trauma can occur in different forms. You could have one-time events that cause a hit to the brain that mentally damage someone. One-time events like a violent attack, like someone could be raped or robbed or beaten severely, or it could just be an accident. It could be an injury, or it could be you know, childhood neglect. These things generally occur in a person's childhood, all right, and they just go by unnoticed. Okay, and the child's young brain is not strong or developed enough to process these information, and so it creates a dysfunction in the brain that later on turns out to be to create a violent predator or of some sort. All right. The trauma could also be ongoing things. I'm sorry, there's mosquitoes killing me. There could be ongoing stress, like 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 violence. You live in very horrible neighborhoods where people are killed every day. Children oftentimes witness dead bodies on the ground, stabbed up, shot. And you see, and they experience those things frequently. It could be people, kids living in fear, constant fear. It has a very traumatic effect on the brain. It could be domestic violence, the things they're experiencing in their home. They're witnessing dad beats mom, mom beats dad constantly. Or again, it could just be that a neglect of a child or an abandonment of a child. Oftentimes, we see today where parents move off abroad and leave their children with the grandparents to raise, and they become ostensibly what we call barrel kids, where the parents send barrel down to the kids, but then you can't send the love down in the barrel because oftentimes the parent is trapped up here and their status not straight, so they don't get to see the child in 10 years, and the child grow up to be somebody totally different from who they are. All right. The problems that are associated with these trauma that I explained earlier are, can sometimes be stuff like anger, aggression, depression, impaired judgment. You can't make proper decision. Um, you know, um, you know, um, it could be things like poor impulse control. All those things I just told you, those things have the makings, the trappings of criminal activities. Um, you know, these traumas could make people more prone, more susceptible to becoming criminals or creating criminal offenses. Okay, I remember seeing a study in college where 998 inmates were actually studied for a period of time, and what was discovered was that 83% of those inmates had brain injuries, traumatic brain injuries, whether it was psychological injury or physical injuries, and that changed my thinking on how crimes actually occur. It's amazing the impact that that those things can have, those trauma can have on people's brain, people's ability to process and control anger and themselves. Um, since that time, I've looked at many studies, man, and it was very revealing for me to see in Jamaica also. I looked at studies done in Jamaica, and I was amazed the amount of mentally ill people were actually in prison. The crimes they committed, they were actually mentally ill. Um, uh, you know, in doing so, it's just that we tend to think that mentally ill people are people who are what we call mad, and they walk up and down, and they're not they're incoherent and stuff like that. They don't realize that insanity can be a regular looking person, standing in front of you. We've seen presidents who are crazy, and hey, I'll say enough about that. Um, you know, but I want to tell you though that certain conditions can cause these traumas aside from the just the one-off violence that could perhaps have happened to someone. You could have you know um, unstable environments that or unsafe environments that kids live in that are affecting their brains a certain way. You could have separation from parents that are causing these traumas. You could have serious illnesses, long-term illnesses that impact the brain so much that put them under so much stress and tension that the brain is shocked. It could be, and these are the ones that we most associate with trauma. It could be sexual or physical or verbal abuse that has created so much harm to the brain that is causing these problems. I tell you a quick story before I go. That I know of a parent that went to prison for about 5 years. That person was severely violated in prison. And guys, I just want to say to you, not everybody that goes to prison is sexually violated. I just wish to say that to you, to be clear. But this person was violated because he was placed among sex predators in prison. And that person later on had a child. I know him personally. And that person was traumatized by that experience, and that person came out as a result. It's not because the person is now gay why the person did this, but the person's brain was so traumatized that the person was now violating his own son. And his son grew up to be a young violent predator himself, a young violent predator, up until the day he died. And I say that to say that these things can have ongoing or transferred effect onto people. And I just wish to say, in ending, that if you sense that someone in your family has any sort of mental illness or any inclination towards anything of that sort, please seek help for them. Do not let embarrassment or the tendency to sweep it under the rug cause you to let a loved one go by undiagnosed or unhelped, only to come back and wreak havoc on society later on, because they're not mentally healthy. All right. Forget the pride. Reach out and help. Seek help for the loved one, and try to make this place a better and safer place for everybody, rather than sitting by and criticizing the level of crime. Let's do our little part to help. Okay, and in closing, I'd like to say this is not to say that every single crime committed are committed by people with traumatized brains. Okay, all right, so thank you for watching. This is Wake Up and Live with Bob, and if you haven't yet done so, please subscribe, like, and share my video. Thanks again for watching.